We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Today, we're going to be breaking down the Bears versus the Packers for the third time. This will be the last time that we break down the Bears Packers this season, and it feels good. So hopefully we can bring an end to the Green Bay Packers season, because man, that will just feel sweet. So as we always do, we're going to break down the offense, the defense, the special teams, and talk about some edges that we might have that hopefully we'll be able to do to have a better outcome than the past 2 games. Because even though I like seeing game-winning plays, I'd rather just be able to beat them by a lot more and be able to take them out. So let me know how y'all are doing out there, down there in the chat. See Drax out there. Bear down to you, my friend. We got Taco Man. We got Squeegee. Yeah, and Drax is asking about the flu. Flu's all gone. I'm feeling good, knock on wood. So yeah, made it out of the flu season alive. So hopefully it's the last. Hopefully it's the last of sicknesses until the next flu season. But you never know. You never know. Kids are like petri dishes. They'll just get anything. So I think it could potentially happen. But let's go into this. So one of the things that I want to see, one of the pieces that I want to kind of talk about just to kind of get things started is I want to start off with just the betting line. We talked about it before, right at the end of our last game. The Bears actually started being favorites. FanDuel had them at minus 1.5. It was basically a pick 'em. But now money's coming in and it's starting to move into the Packers' favor. So right now you can get the Bears out there on FanDuel at plus 1.5 at minus 115. So slightly better odds with it. Money line is minus 102. The over-under is set at 45.5. So I'm tempted, but I'm looking at the last game and, it was 16-22. And then also too, the Bears, you can say, well, the defense probably will be giving up more points and things like that. But I also wanted to bring this up too, not the championship winner, but I know that we had questions about this, and let me switch to see which is the best way to actually show this graphic. I haven't showed an actual weather chart before. I'll show it this way. It's really big. I need a different weather chart for next time. This is Chicago for everyone that sees out there on YouTube. So what it's looking like some rain, looking like some snow. A lot of the different weather apps, even though y'all can't really see out there on, there we go. This is probably our best little angle at it. We're looking at around I've seen spots where it says 50% chance of snow on Saturday night. This graphic that I have, it's saying it should be around, low 30s is the expectation, with some rain, with some snow. So the weather's going to be crazy. And I think that's why. And then also too, the wind, it doesn't have the wind out here, but it should be a fairly windy game. I've heard that the winds might get all the way up to 30-mile-an-hour winds. So that's why you're seeing that, hey, that 45.5 line, it seems very, very low for a game like this, but also it seems very likely just because of, some of the weather. So yet again, I'm probably not going to put any action on it just because, but the game before it was 28-21. So high scoring affair, easily hit the over. But this might be a little bit different, from that side of things. And prime time, that's right. We got Ron out there. We got Romy. What's good? Bear down, my friends. But yeah, prime time on Amazon Prime. And I just want to also share this, before we kind of get into more of these items, out there with Amazon Prime, use the Prime Vision. That is a pro move. So for those that don't know, if you have Amazon Prime for the game, go to alternate broadcast. So like if you were to change it to the Spanish broadcast, right? So like go out to the alternate broadcast, and then there's Prime Vision. Click on that. Trust me, you will be very, very happy. The way that it is it's basically set up almost like Madden, where they use a sky cam. And what they'll do is then they'll show you the play. They'll kind of show you the routes. They'll like highlight them in green as soon as they become open. So it's really cool because I like using that, because then after the game, that's like watching all 22 live basically, because now you're able to see what the routes are, what's happening with it, who might be the blitzers. It's great. Yeah, Jigsaw saying too. Yeah, like it's a great tool. So just something to remember. Make sure to try out the Prime Vision if you're using Amazon Prime in order to get it. And then also FGB. Yes, amen. Bears 1985. Love it, love it, love it. So let's continue going through. Actually, before we go into it, I just want to do one more little shout out. The NFC Championship winner. Want to talk about this right now at our friends at FanDuel. Bears plus 950. Like I said, fourth best odds, right above the Green Bay Packers. And then the top three, Seattle Seahawks at plus 165, Rams at plus 240, and the Eagles at plus 430. And I also want to stop here too. This is kind of looking ahead, but actually at work, we have an NFL group chat that people kind of talk about, and someone gave his playoff predictions, and it made me realize that how big, obviously it's a playoff game, but the Bears have a good shot at actually making it to the NFC Championship game, because if they win this, chances are they're probably going to go against the Eagles. That's what everything kind of like is looking like, how it's going to shape out. And we saw what the Bears were able to do with the Eagles. Obviously, it's different a second time around. Eagles are still a very, very good team, but we saw that they were able to run the football on them, and they didn't have an answer for that. And I want to just kind of call that out, because it's, you know, as someone who's like, yeah, they don't have the defense, they don't have the horses. If they get past this, they could kind of make a little push. You just have to get hot 3 games in a row, and then you're in the Super Bowl. So let's see what ends up happening. Let's flip over, though, and start talking a little bit about the injury impact, because the injury impact for the Bears is something we definitely have to talk about here. So to start things off, let's start at the very beginning. Nick McLeod, Jahdae Walker, all full participants back from an illness. Braxton Jones is actually, there's 2 people back off of IR that might be able to play. Number 1, Braxton Jones, a name that we haven't heard in quite some time. And I want to bring this up because it's good that he's a full participant right now. And the biggest reason is because Ozzy Trapillo, who was out last game because of a quad injury, is also limited today with a quad injury. He was limited today. Then yesterday was more of like a walkthrough. It's all estimations. So Ozzy was out last time. Why I love the idea of Braxton potentially being back is that we saw, you saw how good Ozzy was compared to Theo. And that was something that huge drop off when you get there. Braxton's better than, Braxton is better. Not better than Ozzy. Like Ozzy's been really good, and Ozzy's been playing better than Braxton. So obviously great news from the Ozzy Trapillo piece. That's what you were hoping for from a Bears perspective. But Braxton Jones is better than Theo. So the biggest thing is I would want to see him back if Ozzy's not out there. Also, it's tackle depth. Like, you can't have enough. And also too, this is the playoffs. You're one and done. If you lose, then they're going to have plenty of time to rest. To me, bring the guys back. And so, like I said, Ozzy, be on the lookout for him because of the limited participant. Same thing, Rome Odunze limited. Rome is saying that he's going to be out there. He's just going to probably be limited a little bit too. So I expect that. So give him a small snap count. He said that he's not necessarily back conditioned, ready to kind of get a full snap count. So he's going to be limited at least. And then other pieces too, Jalen Jones, defensive back, limited today. DJ Moore, limited. Nothing too concerning. But then the big thing, a couple people that are probably going to be out. Amen Ogbongbemiga and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and CJ Gardner-Johnson, DNPs today on Wednesday. And I always say this, if you're a DNP on the second day of practice, you're out. Like, that's pretty much guaranteed. Just because that second day is, I remember hearing this from someone who is an actual doctor saying that that second day, if it's a DNP, if it's not limited, limited is they'll do like a general walkthrough. If it's DNP, you are out. So CJ Gardner-Johnson, Amen Agbangbamiga, and also Joe Tryon-Shoyinka most likely all going to be out. The big thing is going to be Kyler Gordon coming back. Now, Kyler Gordon, Spidey limited today with a groin injury. Now, I know that he kind of got pulled when he pulled up and wasn't able to kind of play the last game that they tried to put him in there. But to me, this is something he needs to play. All signs are pointing that he should be able to play. To me, play him. Because right now, Nick McCloud is a huge drop-off versus anyone else you have out there. And we've already had some struggles at the defensive back position. Nick McCloud is a significant downgrade. So to me, please, Kyler, can you actually be out there? Because we need it this week. So hopefully, say a prayer that Kyler is going to have his groin all repaired by game time. The other piece, too, that I want to throw out there is Brad Biggs just reported this about Tyrique Stevenson. And I know that there was a lot of questions, and I was actually incorrect. I thought that I heard that Tyrique Stevenson was a little banged up. He wasn't. They chose to not play him. And that's something that really kind of shows what they think of Tyrique Stevenson. But at the same time, I can tell you what I see with Tyrique Stevenson when he's out there. Tyrique Stevenson is a good man corner, and he's played better than a lot of our other corners at man coverage. So when he has been out there and he's been subbing in for Jalen Johnson, he has looked good. He's looked better than Jalen Johnson because Jalen Johnson still does not look the same level because of his injury. And he's better at man coverage, which is something that Dennis Allen frequently plays. But Brad Biggs reported that there is a plan in place for Tyrique Stevenson versus the Packers, so we should expect some form of playing time for Tyrique Stevenson. So let's go over to the Packers, and right now it looks like everybody's getting healthy. You have Javon Bullard, limited participant, Warren Brinson, limited participant, Edgerrin Cooper, Matthew Golden, all full participants. Same thing with Lucas Van Ness, Wicks, Malik Willis, Zach Tom, Nick Neiman, all limited participants. So to me, it seems like everyone's going to be back. Jordan Love's going to be back. Josh Jacobs talked a little smack saying that it was a cheap shot on him. It's like, learn football. It's like, really? It's not a cheap shot. It was a flag. It was a penalty. Everyone in the world can agree with that. But was it a cheap shot to his head? No. And no, it wasn't at all. Was the cheap shot on DJ Moore from Keyshawn Nixon a cheap shot? Yes, it was. When you try to take somebody out after a play when they have nothing to do with it, that, Packer fans, is what a cheap shot actually is, rather than just somebody that, lowers his head and the quarterback lowers their head and bonk. Then they smack heads. So want to just clarify that, even though that I know not a lot of Packer fans actually listen to this show. But let's see what y'all are saying out there in the comments, because that was just all the injuries. Yeah, Packers, not really a lot of injuries out there. Ron saying, spoiler alert, Bears are picking 32 in the 2027 draft. Let's go. That would be great. That would be amazing. And then, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about this Bears defense, some of the things that they can do, with the bad weather. And yeah, I also agree with Taka Man and like Drax. Like, yeah, the Seahawks are good. Seahawks are good. It's just they're a very complete team. So also another thing too, root for the Carolina Panthers. Try to knock out the Rams. I do think that the Rams are a Super Bowl. Like, they're the team that I think that is going to make it to the Super Bowl. They're darn good. So go Panthers. Because I'd love to see if the Panthers win. I think that the Panthers play the first game, right? Yeah, Panthers play the first game. So if the Panthers win, obviously we need our Bears to win. That's first and foremost. But then besides that, then go 49ers. Because then we could be going against the Carolina Panthers, which, give me that, right? Give me that ticket to the NFC Championship game there. So, yeah. But let's see what else is out there. Yeah, so let's talk about this offense. Let's kind of get into it. Let me kind of switch over to this not opponent breakdown. Let's get into this Bears offense preview where I see Drax out there kind of saying something that I've always kind of saying something that I've always kind of talked about. Bears fans, the Bears need to run the football. They simply do. And I call this out with a lot of the different games where I think something that I love about our running back room, something that as I'm looking at drafts and stuff like that, this is something that I'm going to continuously going to be looking for. I'm going to look for an inside running back and an outside running back. Monangai is the inside guy, Swift's the outside guy. The different values that these running backs bring. Obviously, you want the running back that does it all and is great and things like that. But if you're able to get these two different running backs for two different situations, the better. And something that we've seen with this Bears running attack is that this running attack starts slow. It doesn't get hot because it's something that they also like to start out with. Sometimes, sometimes it's all passing plays the first drive, or they don't necessarily have the true balance that ends up happening. And to me, they start slow when they try to run the football. And that's why I really like Swift, because he can kind of be a little bit of a spark plug. But when you're going against the Green Bay Packers, I've said this time and time again, the Green Bay Packers, when you just look at the advanced metrics, number 9 at defending outside runs, number 9 in EPA for outside rushes, number 26 in inside rushes. They're not good at defending the run up the middle. This is something that if you want to get success, Kyle Monangai is your guy. If it's wet, if it's rainy, it's going to be cold. It's actually not super cold for a Bears game in Chicago in January, with it being kind of in the low 30s. But look at what happened last time that we played them. DeAndre Swift, 13 carries for 58 yards, which was 4.5 yards a carry. Obviously, good numbers there. Kyle Monangai, 9 carries, 50 yards, 5.6 yards a carry. Very, very good. A lot of success against the Packers, and he was someone that was able to dominate from that side. The last game that they played, DeAndre Swift had 13 carries for 63 yards, 4.8 yards a carry. Monangai, 14 carries for 57 at 4.1. So to me, I would be riding Monangai. And this is also something too, is there's certain situations for them. Like last week, I was saying go more with Swift, and you saw Swift have more success. This is a Monangai game. This is a slam it down their throat type of a game. Now, will the Bears do that? That's up in the air, because rewatching the game, last week was one of the worst blocking performances we've seen out of this Bears unit. They just didn't look good. They just didn't function altogether with this offensive line. So to me, I expect some form of bounce back, especially you hear what Ben Johnson is saying and how he's acting with this, where he's like, that's unacceptable, because it is. And looking back at this, the first time the Bears played the Packers, 3 points scored in the first half. And here's the stat. The Bears have scored 3 points in the first 2 halves of games against the Packers. 3 total points. That's terrible. And when you talk about a game that you need to put up a lot of points, and that we went 5 of 5 of making sure that the Packers kicked field goals last time, or whatever it was, or 3 of 5 or whatever, right? The Bears had to stop them in the red zone a lot in order to just kind of keep this game close. The Bears offense has to start off strong, has to start off by getting some form of points and not being stalled, because the whole stalling, only getting 3 points out of the first 2 halves combined, terrible. And then you look at the other spot, look what the Bears have, let's see, do quick math, 18 plus, and then we won't include the overtime, but 18 and then 16 for those other halves. So completely different story when you're talking about the second halves from the Chicago Bears side. Simply put, you got to run the ball. You got to put up some points, just simply put. Now, this Packers defense, too, they are getting healthy, like we've said. So Keyshawn Nixon, Valentine, Bullard all being out there, but also the new addition from the Green Bay Packers, let me just kind of pull this up, was they ended up getting Diggs. Now, Diggs, he ended up playing about half of the snaps last week. Now, this week, we'll have to see if he's actually going to be a full-time starter for the Green Bay Packers or if he's not. Now, Diggs, we did see Rome Odunze absolutely cook him when he was with Dallas. And quite frankly, I think of Diggs very similarly to Nahshon Wright. Very turnover-heavy type of a player. Very good receiver as a defensive back. But from a coverage perspective, lacking. Definitely lacking in that department. So the Bears are still able to kind of take advantage of them. They just have to make sure that they don't turn the football over. But besides that, this defense, Lucas Van Ness, looking pretty good since coming back from injury. PFF's 27th highest graded edge player. And Rashawn Gary, like I've said, still a very Montez Sweat-esque type of a defensive end. PFF's 52nd highest graded defensive end. So really what you're looking out for is this secondary is starting to kind of put things together, but still run the football. And if you're looking to attack, where the Packers allow the highest percentage of passes is short. So you can maybe attack with some short, intermediate types of things and just kind of dime them down there. So let's see what y'all are saying with this. Yeah, some talk about the Panthers from that side. And yeah, Panthers 4th seed. So that's the big thing is, yeah, Panthers aren't the lowest seed. They're the number 4 seed. We got Cass out there. Bear down to you, my friend. We got, let's see, what else? Drax saying, is it possible Ben Johnson has been hiding the run game? I don't know. Good question. So is Ben Johnson hiding the run game and then kind of going with the pass? I think that the biggest thing is I was talking to my father-in-law who's a Vikings fan, and we both agreed with this, where if you're a play caller and the way that you moved up was play calling, a lot of them love to pass the football because it's actually the most efficient thing to do. Passing the football, if you have a good passing game, that's how you score points. That's how you move the football. That's how you win games, right? The running game is a nice complement, and if you have it, if you can establish it and get consistent yards, then obviously, like what we've seen, it's great. I think that he got a little cute, and this is something that Ben Johnson has done, as my Lions fan friends will tell me, is that he does get cute and doesn't run it all the time as much. So I think, and even Ben said this too, he thought that he needed to pass a lot versus the 49ers to kind of keep up and just kind of keep scoring that way. So also too, the last couple games, or last game especially, the running game just didn't seem to be clicking. Honestly, with that, I would have actually gone more with Swift. In that situation, Swift looked way more comfortable, and also that was Swift's old team. He wanted to kind of put it up against them. So let's see what else y'all are saying out there. How dumbed down the playbook do you think it is? I actually don't think it's that dumbed down. Like if you're talking about the Bears playbook, just from seeing a lot of the stuff, there's a lot of complex concepts. Last year, when we look at like the flood concepts, or the puddle as we dubbed it on our all 22 watches, that was a little bit more dumbed down, right? You have like the same concept. Bears do a lot of sail, one deep, kind of one going out. So they have a lot more deeper developing routes than a lot of others. But there's still a lot of one reads that Caleb will do. So he still simplifies it, for this. So it's not like the most complex scheme of all time, but I think it's been good. But let's see. We got the team looks wore out. Yeah, they definitely do. So the comment that you're making about just like the team looking worn out. Yeah, this Bears unit does look very tired, look exhausted, and everything like that. So I definitely agree. And yeah, I see. Put Caleb in gun. Caleb's actually performed very well under center. So that's actually been, it's crazy to say because a lot of people have said that Caleb Williams, he's a shotgun quarterback, with everything. But actually under center, he's actually been more above average quarterback than he has been in shotgun. So under center, he's been very, very successful at. So that, we've covered so many of these Packer Bear games, and it's in 6 weeks or so, we've covered 3 of these, 6 or 7 weeks. We've covered 3. So let's go right into just the matchup that we're watching out for. And something that I'm actually watching out for, I'm going to give 2. First off, I'm going to say the X factor is none other than Jonah Jackson. I'm giving it to Jonah Jackson because I've said this before. I feel like Jonah Jackson plays his worst games against the NFC North. I don't know what it is. Doesn't look great against the NFC North opponents. Jonah Jackson needs a great game this week against the Packers. This line needs a great week. They need to come back and show what this line is capable of to really just dominate this Green Bay Packers front. But the matchup I'm most excited to watch out for. Let's see. I'm gonna give it to Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze coming back versus, most likely Diggs, just because I want to see that matchup again. And I want to see that play out again. But also, I just got to give these guys shout outs. Colson Loveland, Luther Burden, just such good players on this team. It just makes you smile when you watch them. They're phenomenal. When you think about just what they're capable of doing, what Loveland is doing in his first year at tight end for the Bears is crazy. He's got the 3rd highest PFF receiving grade, 16th highest run blocking grade. And the thing that I am so optimistic with Colson Loveland on is his run blocking. From a form perspective, he's got fantastic form. The biggest question mark was literally his size. And you see this with a lot of tight ends where they might just put on some more weight. And then they're bigger. They're more used to these larger scale players. Loveland's been fantastic. Just really blown my expectations out of the water for what he was able to kind of accomplish in his first year. So that was the big thing that I wanted to call out there. But yeah, this offense, run the damn ball is all I got to say for that. So now let's flip over to this Bears defense where we will talk about, can this Bears defense not suck? And I'll ask y'all, let's do this. Do you think this Bears defense will suck on Saturday? I'll just make it very simple. Yes, no. Do you think this Bears defense will suck on Saturday? Yes, no. We'll keep it simple. This defense, a couple things that we'll talk about. And I'll bring this up. I think that you're going to see Ben Johnson and this yell at this defense and say that, because quite frankly, this defense did not look good. And yeah, we know that they didn't allow for over 20 points. When you give up so many yards, it's absolutely abysmal. And actually, I have a little nugget that I want to kind of call out with this. Do I still have it? Let me see. Okay, so for the last 7 weeks, the Bears have allowed 385 yards per game, which is the second worst in the entire NFL. The worst, the Cincinnati Bengals. Then also, since week 12, the Packers are only ranked worse on defensive EPA. And they have, their excuse is that they lost, or the only playoff team that has a worse defensive EPA than the Chicago Bears. But the big reason is because they lost Micah Parsons. We lost Dayo Atengbo, right? And then also we have been allowing 6 yards per play, which is one of the worst marks all season in the NFL. So this defense, the biggest thing that we've talked about is this is a defense that wins based off of turnovers. It's not sound. It's not foundational. It's like if you have a financial advisor and that financial advisor is got rich off of crypto, right? You probably don't feel comfortable with that financial advisor giving you financial advice. Don't worry, put your 401k into Bitcoin. We'll get it. You'll be fine. And then you see it drop 50% and you're like, I don't know about this. And then it goes back up, That's this Bears defense. It's highly volatile because it relies on a highly volatile stat, which is turnovers. So if we're able to get turnovers, this defense looks good. If we don't, then they give up all sorts of points. Now, the big thing, Jalen Johnson does not look the same. CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to be out this week. So hopefully you get Kyler Gordon back. Something that we've talked about with this team. If you're going against the Green Bay Packers, we saw this happen when you have Jameson Williams, a very, very fast receiver. Christian Watson is a fast receiver. Do not, if you are going to play man-to-man on him and he hits you with a little drag route, hits you with a little slant route, no one is going to keep up with him. You need some help over the middle, some form in order to assist. And also, we've said this, I said this last time, and I got to give DA some credit. He did this against Jordan Love. He stopped blitzing. Do not blitz Jordan Love. He is insanely efficient against the blitz. We saw this the first game. Every time that they sent a blitz, what did you see happen? He just literally throws it up in the air. Christian Watson just outruns his defender, gets the ball, and gets a first down and even more yards. Do not send the blitz. And so, big key pieces. Don't blitz. And you really do have to get pressure with the front four. And I'll say this. I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic, as crazy as this sounds, about this front four. Just because Grady Jarrett and Gervon Dexter quietly have had some pretty good games generating some pressure up the middle. So that's something to at least be a little optimistic about. I mean, they're still Grady Jarrett, 78th highest graded defensive tackle out of 134, and Gervon Dexter, 72nd, according to PFF. But really, like, just from what I'm seeing, they're generating a little bit more pressure up the middle than they have in previous weeks. But Sweat is going to be going against Zach Tom, so I'm not really expecting much out there. And then Walker's been okay at that left tackle spot going against Austin Booker. So really, the story of the game is going to be pressure up the middle, and then can these defensive backs and linebackers cover? Tremaine Edmonds, phenomenal when he was not injured. And then he was playing at a Pro Bowl level. Like, sincerely, I thought that he was playing Pro Bowl level football, gets banged up, comes back, and that ain't it. Not playing well. We need DeMarco Jackson with his 90.7 PFF coverage grade. The PFF grades back it up. The guy has been an absolute beast covering the football. But obviously, you're not going to be benching any of those linebackers anytime soon. So really, it's going to come down to coverage. It's also going to come down to stopping them running the football up the middle. Last time they went against them, Josh Jacobs was banged up. Josh Jacobs, 12 carries for 36 yards. But the time before that, Josh Jacobs, 20 carries, 86 yards, and 4.3 yards a carry. Big thing, too. It's kind of the flip side of their defense. They're very good at running it up the middle. They're not good running it to the outside. So you got to stop them up the middle, and you really have to bring down Josh Jacobs. They allow a very small number of yards before contact. They're one of the worst at it. So really, you have to wrap up Jacobs, which is very difficult to do, and gang tackle him down to the ground. But then also, too, when they went against them, Emmanuel Wilson, 14 carries for 82 yards. So they were able to get a lot of success on the ground against us. So, and also, too, Jordan Love, 8 of 13 when he was going against the Bears for 77 yards. So yet again, they changed up how the game plan was. And what do you know? They were able to do a little bit more against Jordan Love. So to me, I'm hoping they kind of keep that same passing game plan that we talked about before, and they're able to kind of trot that out there, because I think that it should be able to help against Jordan Love. And then the running game did actually kind of get going as soon as Malik Willis was back out there. So hopefully we're able to stop them a little bit more. But really, this boils down to these defensive backs. The defensive backs have looked slow. The defensive backs have not been great at that man coverage piece. I'm hoping, like we said, Tyreek Stevenson should also be out there as well, whether it's in relief of Jalen Johnson. But man, we got to play better. And Tyreek Stevenson, I would like to see him out there. I think that he's been playing better than Jalen, just because Jalen continues to look banged up. And let's see what y'all are saying out there in the comments or inside of the poll. So right now, 44% of you saying that you think the Bears defense will suck on Saturday, 56% saying no. So I'll end that poll. And then right at the end, when I ended that, it ended out 50-50. So now let's talk about what defensive matchup that we are most excited for. When I'm looking at this matchups, first off, I'm going to say this. The X factor that I'm looking out for is Kyler Gordon. Just period, because Kyler Gordon has been banged up. That's going to be the X factor. And anytime that he's out there, you don't know what to expect. That would be one of the more interesting blitzes to kind of see from at least that side. But he's going to be somebody definitely to watch out for from an X factor perspective. But my matchup to watch out for, I want to go with the defensive tackles, like I said before, but we saw this time and time again. There's no point in getting pressure now when you aren't able to cover. It's going to be Jalen Johnson versus Christian Watson because he's the person that's got the speed. The Bears have struggled against speed like that. Dobbs, I feel comfortable covering. Reed, I feel comfortable covering, right? They can get theirs. Watson is the person that has gashed the Bears. And if they're able to stop him, it's a different story. They were able to stop him last time. 2 catches, 17 yards. That was huge. So they let Dobbs be the one that beats you. 5 catches for 84 yards last game. But the game before that, that's when you saw Christian Watson, 4 big catches for 89 yards. He's the go-to on the blitz when pressure kind of hits just because of that speed. And what's good, we got Oracle out there. Bear down, my friend. He's saying the defense looks injured, limping. Yeah, low energy too. Agreed. And then also we have Jalen Johnson looks too slow to play corner. Yeah, 100%. Definitely. So let's carry on. So that was the defensive side of the football. Let's talk a little bit about the special teams review. And the special teams, I just don't return kicks anymore. like that's kind of where I'm going at. I'm like kind of sending it in like, okay, kickoffs, we maybe shouldn't be returning anymore, but still, yet again, what Hightower's done to allow this coverage unit to be as good as they are right now, kudos. So to me, kudos goes out to him with just kind of making this special teams unit a little bit better. And also, special teams review, something to just kind of keep an eye out for is this wind. If it gets up to 30-mile-an-hour winds, we're not going to be kicking as much. It's going to be a lot on this offense to try and execute. It's going to be a lot on this defense to stop the Packers from potentially scoring. That is going to be the biggest story with any of the special teams, is that if it is going to be windy in the Windy City, you're going to have to stop them on 4 downs, which is going to be difficult for this defense as the way that we've been playing in recent weeks. So now let's talk about who has the edge, as we always do. If we're talking about this Bears offense versus this Packers defense, we have the edge running the football. And dare I say, I think that we also have the edge passing the football as well. Caleb has looked progressively better. I do like a lot of his recent games. I give it to the offense. Put up points, period. This is the thing, is that this offense should put up points against this Packers defense. So please, for the love of God, do it. And then now we go over to the Bears defense. This Bears defense, not good. I'm going to give both edges to the Packers on pass and the run, just because they can. They were able to run it on us. A lot of teams have been able to run it on us. And then this passing defense just really has kind of fallen apart. So it's really going to come down to executing. Execution is going to be the key of this game. But let's see what y'all are saying out there. Cole saying Packers aren't physical enough to hang with Chicago. Exactly. I think that's a very good point. This is like the Bears should out physical them and just absolutely jam it down their throats, play with it, and dominate. So that's the thing that we should hopefully do. And we have to play with that fire. And then Oracle saying too, if Kyler is in healthy playmaking mode, it's a game changer. Agreed. And that's the thing. He's the upgraded version of CJ. But yeah, I agree too. If he is banged up, he becomes that liability, because especially in the slot, you have to be able to run with those players. Otherwise, I'm curious if Tyreek Stevenson They say that they cross-train them at slot and at outside. I know that Tyreek has primarily played outside. I just don't trust McLeod to play that slot. We've seen it enough. It's not good. Why not try Tyreek? Why not try somebody that has something to play for? That's where, too, when we're talking about Ozzie, I feel a lot more confident, dare I say, with, like Braxton being out there than, say, Theo. Because first off, Braxton's looked better than Theo. But Braxton, too, has something to play for. This is his last shot to show I deserve a big contract with another team. You're right. Like, they're moving on with Ozzie. I'm going to move on to my next team. He's got something to play for. The whole piece of motivation is huge when it comes down to these players. So let's get into the last little bit. What is your score prediction for this game? And also give me one bold prediction. So like we said, the past 2 times, Bears have put up 21 points and then 22 points. And like I said before, the Bears have to be better. They have to put up more points. They have to score more points. But as of recent, they haven't. I think that Ben Johnson's going to have them come out firing, come out playing big, come out playing well. And we've seen this too. They've kind of looked great against the Eagles. Offense looked bad against the Packers. Looked great against the Browns. Yet again, a good defense. Looked bad against the Packers. Looked great against the 49ers. Looked bad against the Lions. So now, the common thread is that then this should be a good game. This should be something where they wake up. They start putting up some points. And I think that they will. I think when I'm thinking about my game predictions with the potential like wet, cold elements in Chicago with some of that extra wind, I think that we're going to hopefully we can run the football. And I'm also seeing that the betting lines as well are a little bit higher on these running totals than say against the Lions, who the Lions weren't good at defending the run. So usually Vegas knows something about it as to the reason why they have the Bears lines a little bit higher when it comes down to running the football. I'm going to say Bears win this because why would I pick against them in the playoffs? That's just, no, you can't. You can't pick against them. Even if we're going against the Rams or Seahawks, I'm saying Bears, right? We're saying Bears. So what I'm going to say, I am going to say, I'm going to say the Bears get, I'm going to say the Bears get all the way up to 31. I'm going to say 31-27 Bears. I'm going to say that they put up some good points. The offense gets their head out of their butts. They do something and they get this game. We have to. And I think if we're talking about bold predictions, oh man, I'm trying to think of it. I'm going to say how many yards of offense? Because I'm going to say that it's a big offensive game. Because I really do want to say that the offense just plays out of their mind. Because when they get challenged, then like Ben's going to do that. If not, there's going to be it's going to be quiet. It's going to be a very quiet offseason. We need a trade for Max Crosby just to restore morale, because Ben Johnson is not going to be loving that if the offense looks flat again. I'm going to say bold prediction is, I don't know how bold this is if you have like 3 50-yard receivers. It's not super bold, but I just think that I think they're going to try to spread the ball around. You're going to have Luther Burden. You're going to have Colston Loveland. You're going to have, Rome kind of coming back potentially too. I think that they're going to try and spread the ball out. I think that they're going to have, I'm going to say over 400 yards, which is pretty bold with the way that this offense has been playing. So that's my feeling. Oracle's saying there should be snow. He's saying 17-13 for the Bears, so lower because of that. And I think that's where it all comes down to the weather. The weather's going to be the big question. But man, to me, run that dang ball, because the biggest thing is we don't know what the weather's going to be, but that running game will travel. That running game, establish it and show them what Bears football is about. We will be live after the game because it is a primetime game, hopefully celebrating a Chicago Bears victory. If not, maybe I'll grab a little bit of whiskey or a beer or something to drink, and we'll drown our sorrows out and we'll we'll cry away a good season, but then we'll have you covered afterwards. So don't worry about that. Make sure to like it and subscribe, though. So it will be live on Saturday after the game for us to review the game. So hope to see you all there. Like I said, like and subscribe. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and